that's to sum up. But it's mainly about two boys who start a friendship, and they begin to realize that they possibly have more of a friendship going on, and there's lots of fun characters that come in and out. And yeah, it's just a great show.
And when you first read that initial script, what was it about the show that made you say, I have to be a part of this, I have to get involved?
I just think it's so joyous and positive, and I think the positive I really resonated with just the positivity of the script, of the message that Alice and the team were trying to kind of to give out and to portray. And I just from the get-go I just was like, this is such a great piece, from the books and to the screenplay, and I was like, oh, I just got to get my teeth dug into the script.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you sure did. I mean, you brilliantly play the role of Tao in this show. So walk me back for a minute. What was that audition process like? Was it intense? Was it quick? Did you find out you booked the role pretty soon after? Did you feel like you had a shot at it? Like, tell me how it all happened.
Well, I got the call from my youth theater, like that they were like doing an open casting for this new show on Netflix, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And they're like, oh, there's a part for an East Asian actor, British East Asian actor, like you should totally go for it. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I sent through like a tiny tape. It was like 20 seconds. And then we got a reply saying, yeah, we'd love to do a Zoom call. So then we did like a series of Zooms, because remember, this was like into lockdown, so we were in lockdown, I think. So it was a lot of Zoom calls. I met Eros, the director, wonderful director. I met Patrick, the producer, and Alice on Zoom, and we read through a couple of the scenes of Tao with Elle, and we kind of talked about kind of more about what the show was. They kind of explained it, and then I found myself getting called saying, we want you to come in and do a chemistry read with Yasmin Finney, who plays Elle, and with the rest of the cast. And yeah, and then I found myself getting there, and we were in this room, and we started reading through bits of the script. We were doing like chemistry reads to see if we got along. And then I went home from that, and then I got the call from the casting agent, the casting director, saying I got the gig, and I was like, whoa! And I was very, very happy, and yeah, here we are now, I guess.
That's incredible. I mean, it's hard to imagine anybody else playing this role except for you. And Tao is such a great character. He's somebody that I feel like we all need as a best friend, right? So, what did you loved about playing Tao? What's some of your favorite things about playing this character?
I think he's so Tao is so like opinionated, and he's not afraid to say what he thinks. He's very protective of his friends, and I think that's important attribute for any person. I mean, we all got to stick up for our friends, right? And I think that's something I really adore about him. I think he's so endearing, and for his protection of his friends, and I think that's just a beautiful thing that I resonated with. He's very confrontational as well. He's not afraid to say what he thinks, and I love that about him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And some of his, I mean, there's so many great scenes throughout the course of this show. What are some for you that you'll forever hold close to your heart that you just loved filming?
Are we doing spoilers? I just wanted to clarify.
Yes, yes. I'm assuming spoiler alert. So I'm hoping most people here have already seen it. So if you haven't, close your ears for a few of this. If you have, then listen up.
You haven't seen the show yet, like you're living under a rock, honestly. So I'm gonna like say, so in episode 8, there's the scene with Tao and Elle in the art classroom, and it's like the big cliffhanger of the show. And I think that was just so much fun to kind of see that kind of arc and the development in their story kind of reach a point of change. And I just had so much fun shooting that scene with Yaz, and the art class just looked wonderful. Like the art department just they went for it with that classroom, and yeah, I'd have to say probably that's.
Yeah, that's a great scene for sure. Was there a challenging or more difficult scene that you had to shoot to kind of prepare for any reason?
A difficult scene to shoot. I'd have to say that the fight in episode 7 was quite a challenge. Not to prepare for, like I kind of knew it was coming, but I didn't really quite expect it to be that kind of physically grueling. Like we did it over and over and over again, and it got really intense because it felt like really real. And I remember getting home after that day at work, and I was just like, my muscles all my muscles were like aching, and I was like physically and mentally drained. So I think that day was probably the most challenging day I had. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good scene. Now it's so crazy to me. I read that this was your first on-screen role, and it's so hard to imagine that because you're so brilliant in this show. It seems like you must have been doing this for as long as you've been alive. What was the very first scene that you filmed, and how did it feel when you walked off that set, being like, "Oh my God, I just did that"?
Yeah, for our first day, I was shitting myself. I was like so scared. I've never done this before. I was like so deeply uncomfortable because we went out and there was like a set, like a crew of like 50. Like Netflix were there, Seesaw were there. They were all there, and I remember I had the first line of the whole shoot. Like I had the first scene with Joe and Toby, and they suddenly just said and action, and I was like, what? And I was like so disorientated. I was like, what is going on? I had no clue, and I slowly got into it, and then like you click into a rhythm. But first day, I mean, I really was clueless. I mean, I'd learned, like I'd prepared, but I was just nothing can prepare you for like the first day on a big set, and but I learned and I clicked into the rhythm, and I was very lucky to survive the first day. Got through it.
Yeah, I'm sure. And which scene was that?
That was the first time we see Tao. Like he's like talking about kind of struggling with Elle having left, and all about the apple juice and everything. It's the first ever time we see Tao, and it was the first time I'd ever kind of. It was my first day. Yeah.
Wow, incredible! It's, like I said, it's amazing that this is your first big on-screen role because you're such a pro at it. What was the moment for you that you realized this show is catching on in a really big way? Like, did you have this one definitive moment where it just clicked and you thought, okay, this is something. This show is a cultural movement.
It didn't hit me until relatively recently. I think we did like a screening in London, and we had like a crowd of people in to kind of watch the first two episodes, and like the reactions and just the crowd response was crazy. Like they were laughing, they were clapping, they were cheering, they were like gasping at like every single moment, and just their reaction and like whole cinema like full of them. It was like crazy. I was like, wow, this is gonna really kind of create some buzz here because I felt the buzz in that room, and I think that's when it hit. But it didn't actually properly hit until well, I think it's still hitting now. I'm not going to lie. I think it's still. I'm still getting used to it, and it's just great that we've managed to move this many people in such a powerful way, and I'm so grateful, like that we've done that for people, and I'm so kind of glad that people enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. I mean, here I'm based in Manhattan, and here in the United States, I'm starting to see. I was flying home yesterday from a job, and I was in the airport and in the bookstore, in two bookstores, all of Alice's books were front and center, and
Wow.
all of them. And I've never seen that before in an airport, right? So I'm like, wow, this really is resonating in a huge way. And by the way, there weren't many left. Like they were, all stacked, and you could see there were only a few left behind the big stack. So it's pretty amazing. And I think a big reason of that is so many people in the community feel seen, right? It's one of the first optimistic stories that shows relationships and friendships and characters in a positive light without this darkness and heaviness. And I think it means so much to so many. I know it does. I've received so many DMs when I announced you telling me what this show means to people. So for you, how does it feel to be a part of that, to know that you're literally changing people's lives with a show like this?
I think for me, it's very moving. I think I'm just kind of overjoyed and so grateful and yeah, moved by the response. It means so much to me to have brought kind of to feel like I was part of something that brought so much joy and love in the world, and that just means the most to me. I think that's as artists, that's what kind of we look for, and as actors, we look to bring kind of joy or bring real emotion, bring people together through our work, and I feel we've achieved that really well with Heartstopper, and I'm just very moved. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you everyone.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a very real thing, and I think a lot of people also appreciate how it depicts high schoolers in a very realistic way as well, right? It's not 30-year-olds playing teenagers. It's not these 7-foot glamazon runway models off of the Milan, Paris, and Paris Fashion Week wearing couture. It's a very realistic